Welcome back to another episode of the Miami Heat Chronicles. My name is Amir. We got Martel joining us from the Miami Heat Zone podcast. How are you doing today, Martel?
I'm doing well, man. Make sure you guys go to Amir's channel, my channel, hit the subscribe button, and thank you for all the support.
So yeah, for today's episode, guys, I wanted to bring Martel on and talk about the Brooklyn Nets. So we all know that they recently traded Mikal Bridges to the Knicks one day after saying Mikal Bridges is not available. Other teams were trying to pursue him this offseason. They made it clear they're not going to trade him. And one day later, literally, they sent them across town over the bridge to the New York Knicks for 5 first-round picks, right? Well, I know one of them, I believe, is a swap, but insane amount of assets that they had to send out. And the New York Knicks got their man. They have basically the whole Villanova crew and squad there. So I think that was a really good move, especially now that we know they're going to be extending and offering free agent OG Anunoby a 4-year contract. So I don't think they have enough star talent. I'm not too worried about them. Like, they have a lot of good players, but I don't think they have enough stars to get them over the hump and beat a Boston, if you will, or someone from the West. But anyway, there are now rumors that the Nets are not done making moves, aka preparing to tank their ass off. So they could have a huge fire sale. So Michael Soto from Hoops Hype said league sources have mentioned that Ben Simmons, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Bojan Bogdanovic, who they just acquired from the Knicks, Dennis Schroeder, and Day'Ron Sharpe could all be available. Martel, what are your thoughts on those pieces of those 5 names that I mentioned? How many of them would you want on this Miami team? Which of those guys do you think would be the best fit, and at what cost are you willing to pay to receive those assets?
So that's the thing about the Brooklyn Nets. So remember, they just got 5 first-round picks. So that tells me that they're trying to collect as many picks as possible. Because remember, they're still trying to recoup from guys like Kevin Durant and James Harden and Kyrie leaving. They're trying to get some of their compensation back. They know they're really not going to win anything, and I think they realize that, and that's why they traded Mikal Bridges. That's why they were able to get those 5 picks. So when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to want picks. However, there's always been an interest in Tyler Herro from the Brooklyn Nets, so that's something that we can definitely look at. I think that a guy in Dennis Smith Jr., maybe we can get him on a maybe like an MLE or a veterans minimum, because we were supposed to sign him last year. So maybe we can get him for like a veterans minimum. We don't have to necessarily trade for him. But a guy like Cam Johnson, a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith, those 2 guys definitely solve some of the Miami Heat's issues on the wings. Because remember, even though like it was reported that Haywood Highsmith is working on a contract with the Miami Heat, that's not guaranteed. We already lost Caleb. Haywood Highsmith could leave. So we really only have Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Jimmy Butler on the wings. So a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith, who he could still play next to Bam Adebayo, great 3-point shooter. I think Cam Johnson, I think he's 28, 29 years old. He's still young. He brings that athleticism, that shooting, that scoring. So I really think that we could maybe make a deal to get one guy over there, maybe if Tyler Herro is involved. But I also think that ship has sailed because, like I said, I think that the Brooklyn Nets, they're really more focused on picks. And I don't see the Miami Heat giving up all their picks or most of their picks for any of those guys over there.
I mean, who do we have to give picks for, essentially? Because right now, I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith, I think he has like 1 year, 14 million left. So like, I love that contract value. Like, he's one of those KCP type of Daniel Gafford kind of guys that you can add to your team that could make an impact. 3-and-D guy, but he is 30 years old. Only 8.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 34% from 3. Like, for a guy like that, like, I'm
But
not
I say
willing to
that
give up a
because
pick.
they wanted 2 first-round picks for him last year.
But
Or
yeah,
some crazy – they wanted crazy numbers. So that's why I'm kind of – I don't know like if we'll be able to get the deal. But like I said, maybe because they're rebuilding and we offer them a young Tyler Herro, maybe we can make a deal that way.
who would you rather have though? Like, because like, okay, Finney-Smith 2 picks. That's wild. I mean, there's always going to be a team that's willing to pay a ton, and there's also a few teams that had a ton of picks, like the Nets, because they traded all the superstars, like you mentioned. OKC, Presti has a treasure trove still. He had like 15 picks. He probably has 9 left still, right? Like, there are a few teams that can make outlandish trades, just like in Utah, you know what I mean, for or the T Wolves in the past, excuse me, for Gobert. There's always going to be some anomaly where it's like 4 or 5 picks, but he's not really worth 2. But anyway, out of the 2 players, Cam Johnson, Finney-Smith, who would you rather have? And I could see, and I'll say for Cam, because he's 27. He only played 58 games. He has an injury history himself. He's never played more than 66 games, but he averaged 13 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. 17 points per game the season before. So, I mean, of the 2, I'd rather have him. Of those 2, and maybe even Bojan, we've been linked to possibly wanting a Bojan Bogdanovic on this team. He is older, but he is a bucket getter. So like, of those 3, ideally, like, who would you rather have?
Well, like I said, I think that if we can get Dennis Smith Jr. on the vet, I think that's one right there. And then I would have to go Cam Johnson only because he's younger. And I think, like I said, that Tyler Herro swap, I think that would work. I think that they would be okay with getting a younger guy in return. But like I said, that comes down to what are the Brooklyn Nets prioritizing? Is it picks? Do they really like Tyler Herro that much? They would have to make that ultimate decision.
What's Cam Johnson's salary looking like? I don't have that pulled up. Do you remember? Was it like
No,
20 something?
something like that.
Hey, but if they take Tyler Herro and they're looking to tank, because is there a good draft prospect? I don't know. I don't know anything about college, and I know this year's draft wasn't great, but maybe there is a good draft prospect coming up. So that's probably why they wanted to, tank and trade all these players so they can guarantee that they'd be a bottom 3 team. But hey, guess what? If they do take Tyler Herro, let's say for Cam Johnson, Tyler's still making 30. So if they want to match the salaries, maybe they can give us like a Bogdan, or I don't know what he's going to be making. He might probably be making more than that. But if you want to throw in Deron Sharp, who I don't even know who that is, I'm assuming he probably is making below 10 million. You can get Tyler Herro, but also I was going to say, if they're willing to tank, Tyler's going to miss 30 to 40 games guaranteed. So that's good, right? They'll have a young star, but he's also going to miss games, so they'll lose. So that's a win-win, right? Possibly.
What do you think about Ben Simmons?
I was going to ask you that too. So how the mighty have freaking fallen, dude. Like, what happened to that guy? So he's only 27, which is crazy. Still young. Rookie of the year, 3-time All-Star, defensive player of the year almost, right? Like, literally was Depoy, second place, defensive All-NBA team twice, like almost triple-double machine. Like, what happened, dude? The last 3 years, age 25, didn't play because of his back. And then his 2 seasons with Brooklyn, 26 games and then 27 games, he's still averaging 6 and 8 rebounds, 6 assists, but his points are significantly down. That's the thing I worry about, is not his defense. He's a great defender, possibly, if he's healthy, great rebounder, great playmaker, but can't score for shit. And even before, though, he was getting to the line, getting downhill, and still, at least he was giving you 17 points the hard way. Now, if he's giving you 7 points per game, can't shoot for shit, can't get to the free throw line, we can't have him on this Miami Heat team unless we get a third star. Let's say we trade Terry Rozier or a Tyler Herro plus whoever, the kids, Khalil Ware, whatever we need to do for a Donovan Mitchell. Then yeah, bring in Simmons, because Mitchell's going to come in, score 25 points per game at that position. Then we'll have him as our like point forward, right? As our defender, our rebounder, and playmaker. And then he could play off ball too. Doesn't need to do anything. I mean, he could be a decoy, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on him? Like, how has he fallen this far? Like, what is it like? Is it just the back injury, or is it like mainly psychological, do you think?
I think it was all psychological. I think when the media and everyone else was telling him to shoot, because you saw it, he was never a great shooter or anything like that, but you saw that he was still hooping, still getting to the line, like how you said. He was still in transition, still rebounding. He was doing everything. But once he started to really let the noise get into his head that he couldn't shoot, and he almost like was afraid to score, and like you can tell that he's overthinking the game of basketball. So what I mean by that is, even if it's a layup, he's thinking about it more than he really should. Bro, just lay the ball up.
That's insane. He's tall as hell too. That's insane.
Yes, but if you remember when he was in Philly, and I think it was when he was wide open and he could have taken it to the lane.
Yep,
and Trey, that means that, guess what? It's up here. Because the year prior, he would have dunked it. So he let the outside noise, to me, just affect him, and then now these injuries now are starting to pile up on him. But it's unfortunate. But I mean, if they buy him out or something like that, I would definitely maybe take a look at him. But other than that, I don't really think he would fit on this Miami Heat roster because he doesn't fit Heat culture.
What's his contract? I'm curious because yeah, it's like, what's if you can get him for like the veteran minimum? It would probably be like $2 million because remember, when it comes to the vets minimum salary, it's their threshold of 7 years and above. If once you hit 10 years and above, you get the max, which is like 3.2 million. But if you're younger, you can get them for like 2.2 or 2.5 or something. Like imagine having him as our backup point guard off the bench instead of DeLon Wright. But that psychological stuff, dude, is insane. We've all been there. I hoop. There's been times where people won't pass you the ball and like you're just not involved and you kind of stand in the corner and then like you kind of think like, hey, I better not mess up because they're not going to give me the ball back. That's a different one. There's also ones where like Bam Adebayo at times will be so passive. It even had moments like that where he like got the Brook Lopez treatment years ago in 2022 when they
Yep.
dared him to shoot and he didn't. There's times where like he's that open and he still doesn't shoot. And then like it's very rare now, but you'll see games where Bam shoots 18, 20 shots, very rare. But then he'll go back to games where he shoots like 11 and 12 and he gets kind of passive and not like fully confident like a guy that is a microwave scorer that will shoot like a Tyler Herro, like someone who like will unconsciously shoot anything and everything. So it that there's elements of that, but his is times a million to your point where he won't even take a layup or like even attack the rim, like trying to like back people down. And he had a little post up game. Obviously, he could drive, score with both hands. Like he's so mentally out of it, and it could be obviously the injury too. Like that probably plays a part in it of why he's mentally not there. Because like who knows? But if we can get it for the vets minimum for like 2 million, maybe I will talk. If it's a real contract for 10, 15, 20 million, zero chance. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks for hopping on, Martel. Really appreciate it. Let us know in the comments of the 5 players I mentioned that the Nets are most likely going to give up. Bogdanovich, um, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Schroeder. I mean, Schroeder could be a good piece too,
Schroeder's a
honestly.
solid backup point guard as well.
That's a good guy who can get a bucket, right? Someone who could score like that Reggie Jackson type of point guard, you know? So let us know in the comment section what you think. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Team to Beat Miami Heat. Don't forget to subscribe to Martel's channel, Miami Heat Zone Podcast. If you guys continue to like these types of episodes, we'll continue to make Miami Heat Chronicle episodes. So thanks for watching, guys.